So I want to welcome everybody to the annual meeting of the Medford Neighborhood Association. We are recognized by the city as such, and that enables us to get grants, which is nice, and also we can speak with a voice as a neighborhood, and that's a lovely thing. We have some new neighbors here. Who has moved here since our last annual meeting? Austin has, and Hannah has. Okay. Well, we've got some welcome bags for you.
Okay.
There we go. Hannah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Which house are you in?
We're in 4121, so on Sheridan, it's the gate house. That's gate. Everyone knows that house. So my husband and I just moved in there. Thank you. My husband and I just moved in there in February. His name is Tom. He's on a work trip right now, so we're both like young professionals. We don't have any kids or pets, but
We just got married.
yeah, we just got married in April. So thank you. But we're really excited to be part of the neighborhood. Make sure we're wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you leave at 5:30 in the morning, right?
So, I do sometimes, yes.
That's when I'm walking the dog.
If you see me, okay, so like the job that I had when I first moved in here, I had to be at the hospital at 6 a.m. So I was always leaving at like 5:30.
Right.
Yeah. Always leaving, but not anymore. I'm not at the hospital.
Not anymore, okay.
No more 5:30 drives. Hannah.
And we just had some other brand new neighbors. Or when did y'all move in?
2019?
2019?
Yeah.
Well, you haven't had one of these yet then.
Sure.
Welcome. And tell us about yourselves.
I grew up in Boston. I moved here in 2019. I've been in Charlotte since 2016. I work remotely for a tech company. I don't know, I like to walk my dog. I got a little white dog who's probably barked at every person in here.
What's the dog's name?
Ziggy.
Ziggy.
Yeah, he's okay with people. He's very
We got
protective
another dog.
with other dogs. But, he's sweet.
Great, great, great. And
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm his +1. I'm from Charlotte. Moved back from Charleston 3 years ago. Just graduated nursing school and I start next month.
I just retired as a nurse after 30 years. We'll talk. We'll talk. That's wonderful. And Austin.
Hey, Austin. I live across the street from Gretchen. I work for the county. I do the budget for the county, and I moved in October. So yeah.
And he's already gotten very much involved with the neighborhood. If you haven't had a chance to do so, check the neighborhood directory. Is everybody getting emails from us?
Yes.
We do have a Facebook page, and we can show you how to do that. And if you care to give us your phone number, that just helps us reach out to you if we need to do that. And Austin can get you set up with that. We're lucky tonight to have Officer Barber come to speak with us, and I'm just going to let you take it from here.
Hello everyone, I'm Caitlin Barber. I am your community coordinator for this area. This is my first time being at this meeting. I don't know, have you ever had any other coordinators come?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who did you
Whole
meet?
bunch of them.
Officer Montero.
Of course, yes.
He was awesome. Before him, when I moved in, I don't remember his name, and after Montero, we had another officer.
Okay, okay.
That's me.
Yeah, so, I've been with the department now since 2022. Right after the academy, I was assigned to the Eastway Division, so I worked second shift patrol for 3 years before I was able to, get into this position that I am in now. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna forget something.
So what exactly is your position?
Yeah, so we address quality of life concerns, community engagement efforts, and crime management. So community engagement has to do with, us doing things at the school. A lot of things, I'll go to the schools, read, Dr. Seuss Day, we'll do things like we'll interact and play for field days and things like that. Christmas Explorers Project, those are all examples of community engagement. Crime management reaches out to me and says, you know, this is something that we're seeing is concerning in our neighborhood, or I've had a lot of people complain about their neighbor. And so it's my job to find ways to, you know, make your lives easier. You know, for example, it could be, you know, my neighbor's dog barks at all hours of the night. I have to be able to plug in the right connections to kind of address your concerns. Quality of life could be, you could have a neighbor that has a junky yard. They keep a lot of cars in their yard that aren't functionable, so I plug in code enforcement. A lot of it is plugging in people and knowing people and bringing in the right resources, right? So that kind of in a nutshell is what it is.
So if we just kind of weren't sure where to start, we might be.
Exactly.
And how do people reach you?
By email is the best way. They don't give me a city phone, unfortunately. I wish I had one, but email.
And what is your email?
It is Caitlin, that's CAITLIN .Barber, BARBOUR @cmpd.org. That is the best way.
So, which route would you, I mean, if it's like just a neighbor thing, you suggest we work through you or through 911?
For me,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, if it's an emergency, obviously, like, we're out there, we're about to fight right now, like, call 911. And then you come to me kind of for the, more detailed digging into, like, if they're renting, I've reached out to, rental companies before, I'm like, hey, this person, there's been 10 911 calls this year, so sometimes that'll kind of, they'll be like, okay, that's, we should get them out of there, their dog is like, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Dog bites.
What, dog bites? That's
Do we call
definitely,
you or do we, I've always called 911, but I didn't know this existed.
that's the correct thing to do.
Alright.
So dispatch they're able to plug in animal control. When you call 911, they're able to place a call for animal control. Sometimes we respond too. It just depends on the situation. 911 is the right way to go.
So the reason why I asked Officer Barber to come and talk to us was that several weeks ago, we had a problem with very loud gunshots in the woods behind our houses, to the point where the sound was echoing off of all the brick, and it was a Friday night and a Sunday night as well. And we called, somebody called 911 over the weekend, and tell us a little bit about what typically we should do with those kinds of concerns and what happened after that, like how it's followed up.
Yeah. So always when you hear gunshots, call 911. What happens when you call 911, typically a shots fired call is a high priority. So when someone calls 911, I'm not sure if you all know, it's prioritized. I think the lowest priority would be a 9, highest priority is a 1. So typically a shots fired could be anywhere from, I would say a 1 or a 2. It just depends, you know, when you call 911, they ask you a million questions, and just one answer can be, you know, the difference between if it's a 1 or a 2. So officers are usually, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually at nighttime when y'all hear it. So we have a really big overlap of officers with second and third shift, so we have a large amount of officers working from 8 to about 11. But officers circulate the area. You know, if there's a good point of where the calls are coming from, they'll circulate, look for shell casings, things like that. Like if you're able to give a vehicle description, that is great, obviously, because when they're circulating and they see that you described a gold Honda Accord and they're leaving from the intersection of, you know, Central and Medford, then they can get out with them.
Our problem is that it's just in the woods back there, and there's 8 acres, and we can't,
And it's just open field.
it's in the schoolyard itself, yeah. So what I was told that, that day or that night when I called was that we can ask for increased police surveillance. There was a phrase for that.
Zone checks.
Zone checks. And that actually, when the first episode happened that Friday night, a police officer did go out, but with no sirens, because of course you don't wanna chase away the bad guys. And they basically looked around and didn't find anything obvious, but calling in and saying we hear something at least puts everybody on alert that something might be going on back there. How often would somebody walk through the woods back there and see if there's, stuff going on, or, you know what I mean? I tried to get a hold of somebody from the schools and nobody returned my calls, unfortunately, because it's school property, do you know?
So, when you call 911 and you're hearing this, I would give that detail that it is coming from the woods. And then officers typically would go out there on foot, and search the area.
That's kinda hard, cause
You don't know exactly where it's coming from.
Well, there's two-way ends too, right? You can come in from behind food line, or you can come in on the backside over by the nature preserve too.
Norland.
So we have no idea where they're at,
Right.
or if they're in our neighborhood walking through the woods. So, I mean, I think the bigger thing to note is just there's a lot of probably, activity at that elementary school that shouldn't be going on. I think just overall, there's always been
Yeah.
vagrancy issues, drinking issues,
Unauthorized
gunshots.
baseball games.
Right, I mean, there's,
You're talking about Eastway Middle, right?
yeah, there's just, and that, I mean, a friend of mine, he's a gym teacher over there, he picks up beer bottles and things out of his,
Yeah.
baseball field all the time.
Yeah.
And things that could be unsafe for kids too, and so, I think that's the bigger thing that, to surmount all of this, is I don't think there's a lot of surveillance going on back there, cause it's not much, there's not much residential. So I don't think people are actually seeing it over there, so we're getting the brunt of it being adjacent to the property.
Yeah.
So.
What I will say is, when I was on patrol, I'd go back there all the time. I've seen, they tell, like, when I was in training, there was like stories, like there's that dead end right there of this gang has, they literally found bodies back there.
Yeah.
So the officers in Eastway are very well aware, they know that this is an area where people dump stuff, I've seen all kinds of things, and they've repaired that, like, barrier, I don't know how many times, so the best thing to do is to put in those zone check requests, if you're seeing it more on the weekends, maybe more on the weekends, but for me to put y'all at ease a little bit, officers are very much aware of this area. I used to go through there all the time. I like to go through Biscayne. I'd knock that area out, go through there, and then I'd pop up and go through the baseball field, and I'd find people back there. Typically they were playing and things like that, but as far as like, we don't know if they've gotten permission to do these things, to go out there and play, and, we've gotten out with people before and they said they did have permission, so we don't really have that contact of someone we can call on a weeknight that's gonna answer the phone and say like, hey, yeah, we gave them permission, that type of thing.
And baseball games is one thing, but violence
The drinking.
and the drinking,
Yeah, we pulled up to a baseball game
the
one
loud
time
music.
to tell them to turn it down, and they were out there smoking hookah
Okay.
on school property. which is
I would
open.
never encourage you all to like face these people face to face and say
That's
anything.
my husband for you.
I would definitely call 911 and have us, we will definitely address it.
But that's not true, I don't live down there, but last fall, before 6 o'clock, there was somebody running through the neighborhood, I found this out later, with a gun. I don't know what happened, but there were 12 cop cars here, and I was told to keep walking to Central and not get by, they cornered the house, I don't know, it's a totally different neighborhood on my side. I'm Medford Acres there, Sheridan, it's nicer over there. Like, I thought it's a little different, so, I think there should be a lot more cops, police officers strolling that area, because that was crazy, and I had the 2 dogs, and it was daylight outside. So I'm not scared or anything like that, I just think that it'd probably be nicer if we had a lot more, if we can, have a lot more people.
I totally understand that, I really do, y'all have to understand too, everybody wants additional patrol.
Oh, do they?
Everybody, and minimum staffing on one shift is 8 officers. And they're addressing 911 calls, and,
For the
got part of North Sharon Amity to Shamrock. We split that with North Tryon. Half of Albemarle is us, the other side is Independence Division. It turns into Hickory Grove at Albemarle and Central. We have a little piece of that little strip mall right there by where Eastland Mall is. Go down to the plaza. Once we get to 7th Street, that turns into Central Good. I could definitely give you like a map. of
Yeah, that
like-
makes us some
Well,
ideas, that's a big
that's a
area.
lot. That's a lot.
It is a
That's
lot,
a
okay,
lot.
but we're considered one of the smaller divisions. But, that did bring me into my next thing. I've got your stats for the year. So if anyone has explained to you what part 1 crime is, that is your felony cases, those are the cases that get assigned to detectives. So for Medford Acres, I ran it from January 1st to today's date. And you all have 4 part 1s. That is pretty fantastic. That is, this is usually a month in one of my apartment complexes.
How tall that we have that one?
This is
Well,
really
two are
good.
the same address on Central.
These are really
Yeah,
good.
Jeremy's house.
Yeah. And 3 of them are thefts. Yes, there is a murder on there. That is from Las Muñecas. But rest of these, this property is on the nuisance list. Our ABC.
That's the little bar, just,
Right before the more.
yeah.
Our ABC unit has taken lead on that, and last I heard, they stripped their dance hall permit, and they're working on just getting their whole ABC, like, they've gotta do they've gotta do undercover work and things like that in order to get their ABC license taken, but we've been on top of it literally ever since this murder happened. So, we've been working on that, but for y'all to have 4 part 1s in a span of over 6 months.
And that's just not, we think of our neighborhood as being, not including the houses facing Central, but that's including that area as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is your neighborhood, I get it, you all have concerns, a lot of people have, people are strange. What's important is just utilize 911. The chief had her meeting earlier this year, and Eastway, was one of the divisions that 911 calls, there's not a lot of them, so utilize 911, utilize us, you never know, what we can go out there and find.
Better to call than to not call.
Exactly. Rule of thumb is if you want an officer to come out, respond, it's 911. 311 is not an emergency. They're able to take like reports that when you don't wanna have a cop face to face with you, you're able to file a report without formally having someone there. And then I wanted to talk about, we're having a really big back to school event, August 9th. It'll be at 5249 Central Avenue, Casa Viva Church. We partnership with, a number of community members who have come together, and it's gonna be huge. We're trying to give away about 2,000 backpacks filled with school supplies, to give out to the kids. We're gonna have face painting, bouncy houses, food giveaways. We'll be out there with a little tent, putting tattoos on it and stuff, not real tattoos. But, it should be really, really fun, so you all come out to it. I'm gonna leave these, maybe, if you, any of your churches feel like, donating, we could really, really use it.
You could just leave them on the sign-in.
I will.
Does anybody have any other safety-related questions for Officer Barber?
Let's speak, I mean, in the mornings, people cut across, that they go down Sheridan to Langhorne, right around Medford. And it's inevitably, a lot of us have dogs, and so we're walking in. Literally, sometimes you have to just dart out of the way, because they're just not.
Is there any particular time of day that you're seeing it more?
I see it in the mornings and sometimes in the afternoon.
It's rush hour. And there's kids out on bus stops right there at the corner too, which is very concerning.
The bus also flags.
It does.
Yes.
Yes.
They're trying to get there. But yeah, I mean, if you wanna send me a couple more details on it, like you said rush hour, so usually Monday through Friday, a little bit
Yeah.
more in the morning.
I mean, I've seen it over the weekend. I mean, I was walking and this guy just drove through like he was in a rush. He drove around and then he went back to the same direction. I was like, that's weird. But,
I
I
think
had,
it's been 2 years since we've done our like speed cables with CDOT, so it might be time to do that again. I know they only tested every 2 years.
To try to get some mercy.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, I can reach out to Ray.
Yeah, I think last time we just didn't qualify for the amount, I think it was like 600 vehicles a day need to be crossing
Really?
the cables, and they said we didn't qualify.
I definitely use that cut through in the morning, so, and it seems pretty busy, so, I can definitely reach back out. How long ago was that, you said?
I think it was 2 years ago. We specifically asked them to do it after school starts back, and they did it the week before school started.
Okay.
So we need to do it like end of September.
Okay.
To catch like school people and school buses come through.
Yeah, if you wanna just send me some details, I can let our traffic officers know, just kinda keep an eye out, maybe stay back somewhere where they can be central cash. We, recently did an odd on Central Avenue, like over by, Central Norland, we were pulling over for all kinds of stuff, so.
Could I ask you to repeat your email, you saying send your information? So could you just repeat it for us, please, your email?
Yes, it's Caitlin, CAITLIN dot Barber, BARBOUR at CMPD.org.
Well, Officer Barber, thank you so much for coming out. We're gonna give you a souvenir. There you go, something to remember us by.
Y'all let me know if you need anything, okay?
I'm gonna chat with you real quick outside, Officer Barber.
I was terribly negligent. We welcomed lots of our new neighbors, but we have one very tiny new neighbor. Why is that? 6 weeks. Congratulations, y'all. So to review some of the things we've done over the past year since our last meeting, we started the Adopt a Street program in 2018, and we've done 3 cleanups more or less since then, and we've continued that. We did our progressive holiday party last year, and that was a blast. Fine time was had by all. We had a block party in the fall. We had trivia night at Town Brewing. Thank you, Brandon. Brandon has brought a beer to many of our events. I have done some Vaulted Oak nights on Thursday nights, Vaulted Oak pizza and beer. And I don't have anything lined up for tomorrow night, but is that something people are interested in? Is that a difficult time? I can't do it tomorrow night. Anyway, I'll let you know.
We should like pick like the second Thursday or something.
Yeah, we should be, or third Thursdays.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Third Thursdays, that's easy to remember. We'll see how that goes. We got a couple of grants, and we had a placemaking grant, and that was used to paint that mailbox that's been there forever. It's not being used anymore. We have to get permission from the Postal Service. But our neighbor Shalise, who's a recognized Charlotte artist, painted that for us. So it is, it's a lovely thing. And we got a micro grant that was used to buy mosquito dunks and the buckets, so you can have a bucket of doom for those mosquitoes, and some more slow down signs. There's another grant opportunity coming up that we have to apply for by September 1st, and it's apparently an easy grant to get, so we're gonna apply for that again and get more mosquito dunks and slow down signs, as well as some party supplies for our block party, that sort of thing. We're going to have a couple of changes in board members. we have, our current board is Atisha, who's just stepped outside, as secretary, and Alicia as treasurer, and Patrick has been vice president, and I've been president. And I tell you what, Alicia has done an amazing job. Alicia also Atisha has done, and Mike, it's a twofer, have done an amazing job with finding us grants and just the energy that she's had, and that's really fantastic. And she should be in here hearing all this stuff. But Atisha is having a baby at the end of August, and so she's stepping down, and Patrick, who's currently out of the country, is working hard on his MBA, and he served for a couple years, so he is stepping down. So I will continue as president, and Alicia will continue as treasurer with her new baby. And we have a new secretary, Austin. Yay, Austin. And we have a new vice president, Jason. Jason is filming this so that, we have a YouTube channel. Did you know that?
No.
You can go to our YouTube channel and find past meetings. If you didn't fall asleep at night, that would be in addition to people who are officially on the board holding positions, we have a couple of folks that have agreed to help us out a lot. One of those is Imogene. Imogene's been in this neighborhood for 46 years?
47 years.
47 years. And you served on the board for a while, didn't you? I asked her if she would be interested in helping us out because she's got a long history of working with the city and with other neighborhood organizations. If you could talk a little bit about that, and then specifically, we're all concerned about the speed that people drive on Eastway. If you notice, on Wendover, the speed limit is 35, not that anybody pays attention to that, but it's 35, and then when you cross Independence, it becomes 45 here, which is ridiculous. So, Imogene, can you tell us a little bit about some of what's going on in other neighborhoods and with this?
Sure, well, the main thing that we have in our favor is the Charlotte East, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with that organization. It's nonprofit, and their goal is to try to bring together various neighborhood leaders from the various neighborhoods to work together, and then to have events that draw, the neighborhoods together, but then to address issues that affect the east side. And they were, they worked really hard on this Eastland Yard thing to keep things that shouldn't have been going and to fight for things, They didn't get everything they wanted, but they fought to keep, things in. So they have worked very hard over the years to work together with issues that affect us and the city in general. And as a matter of fact, tonight, our councilman, J.D., and Carolyn Miller, who is a leader of the neighborhood behind Eastway School, they're at a public safety leadership summit. And this has the police chief, the district attorney, the sheriff, a lot of people, and they have representatives from as many as they could get from all the neighborhoods around Charlotte, all the communities, with the idea, hey, we can work together to work on public safety. We can work across the lines, but then we can work in our communities. And so what they bring back, if there's anything there that they bring back that I think that would be useful for us or that we can participate in, then I'll certainly be sure that that I get Austin to get us a little email or something out to report on that. And then as far as the speed limit goes, Carolyn Millen said that she knows a representative, an NC representative, that she is going to go to see how do we start that process to get the speed limit forward? How do we go about trying to convince them that
Because it's a
that's
state
crazy.
road, it's not city,
yeah.
it's not county, it's a state road, so we have to approach the state.
So we need that, and of course, we need the Department of Transportation to fix the pothole that everybody is going around down there. But anyway, I just want you to know that neighborhoods are, leaders are working on our behalf. It's not like that, there's not a lot of work being done, you just don't always see everything. But remember, a neighborhood is just the people that are in it. So it's up to all of us to do what we can. And so if you have ideas of things that you'd like to be brought to Charlotte East or to the board or anything, you know, if you would let me know, or to, you know, our legislators, but you can write them too. You can call them too. So let's just remember that, we're just in this thing together, and we've got a real strong east side, and we've got a wonderful neighborhood. I've been here for 47 years, and there've been a lot of changes around, but our neighborhood has been very stable, very strong, and I think the best kept secret around.
Jean, I don't know if you know what's going on, about all the trees, the old mature oaks along the cemetery were all cut down. I mean, does anybody know what's going on over there?
They're putting sidewalks in.
It was going to be sidewalks and biplanes and that sort of thing.
So we lost all those mature trees again.
We did.
And so like, what I don't see, like when situations like this happen, I find out after the fact. And I get really upset because that happened further up when they cut down all the trees, and I started to talk about the sidewalks and why the trees have to be cut down. I mean, I know that you can go around trees, and I don't know, like.
There were two sides to that street.
Exactly.
Not on the school side.
And so then you have, so you already have a sidewalk there, so then all this destruction of all those trees to create a sidewalk, you know, to like reclaim 5 feet of the side of a road, and it's upsetting to me. And so like, how am I gonna know about, okay, when is there like public comment on this sort of thing, right?
So a couple of ways that you can find out about things. I know not everybody is on Facebook, but it's really handy for certain news sources. And the Charlotte East Facebook group is a good one to follow. You can get a lot of news from that. And also our city council representative, JD Mazuera Arias, is really good as well about telling us what's going on in East Charlotte. So if you can follow their pages.
Yeah, I do follow it, but I always miss it. And then, I got upset about it, and somebody who I guess was involved in the actual decision of cutting down trees chimed in and asked me, well, why didn't you go to any of the meetings? And I'm like, I did. And then they said, well, we did do some public outreach. And he gave me a link, and I went to the actual site and looked at the public outreach, and I think they actually spoke to 12 people along the whole street and the entire neighborhood. And that was all. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people, and only 12 people, and every single one of them had concern about the loss of trees.
So this would be, I think, a good issue to bring up to JD, to our local city council
Yeah.
person. So if you can reach out to him, you are eloquent in your support of the trees.
I mean, it really upset me.
Unfortunately, if you'll notice, they're doing that in a lot of, they're doing the sidewalk thing. That is this campaign that they bring sidewalks into all the different areas. Probably,
Right, and it's-
this corridor of improvement
Yes.
that we have, well, those are goals that they set, and so they're doing that in a lot of different areas, and, you know.
I don't know if you, about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, we had a meeting, and the city came and they were gonna put sidewalks in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
We walked the area with Nancy Carter. We
Right.
walked around, and one of the things that came up was the trees that are in this city right of way, that you would have to give up on your land if you were living in a house and there was a tree there, you would lose the tree. So, yeah, and the other thing that was, to me, very bizarre, was where the sidewalks were, you were going to have to cross the street from one part to get to the other part, but it was only going to be on one side of the street. The neighborhood voted against having sidewalks put in, because we wanted to keep the trees. And the other thing that they said was, well, people can walk their dogs on the sidewalk, but a sidewalk is not big enough to have two people side by side and a dog. We felt better actually walking around the streets in the roadway, which was wider. So you're right, 15, 20 years ago, we went through this and decided this was not what our neighborhood wanted. I think we had one vote for and the rest were all against.
And they followed that. So you
Yes,
said this
so-
other
so
place
we
did it.
took-
12 people said they didn't want it, I don't understand.
Well, it's just, but I guess though that they just didn't care. I mean, you know, they have the money for this, it's the cheapest ways to cut down the trees. I mean, it was horrendous. It was really shocking. You know, all those houses now, that the canopy is gone, and that houses, you know, these people that used to have shade now have the sun blaring down on their house 365 days of the year. You know, and it's like, so, but I guess the city can do what the city wants to do regardless of.
One of the things that we're going to be doing, as a board, I like to clear it out a little bit now, is, working more to get information out to neighbors about what's going on with the city.
Yeah, I would make a recommendation, I mean, we can always reach out to Mark Jarrell, who's our District 4 representative, on the county commission, and, he has a big voice, he's the chair of the board, but he would be a good person to talk to as well.
I mean, so it's like our old growth oaks, you know, there's not a lot of them left. And I understand like if it's a sick tree, or, you know, if it can cause danger. But then, you know, I can't help but think, is it because of where we live? Like if this was in a different neighborhood,
That's
you
a
know,
very good
would
question. Well,
they have approached the whole situation
moving
differently?
forward, we hope to get more information out so that
We can,
we can attend meetings.
I'm going to, I have signed up, just signed up to go on a virtual meeting, I think it's the second week of every month with the Charlotte East Group to get updated on what's coming down the pipe. But the way they justify this is they are trying to make this a corridor where people, that don't have, you know, transportation, cars
Sure.
love, to make it more, you know, viable for them. So they think, well, they need more sidewalks, they need more bike lanes, they need all that. Like I say, they're doing it all around the city. That's how they justify that. That outweighs having trees.
But there already is a sidewalk on the other side, and the kids walk down that side to go to the school. So why is it that they didn't just expand the street that direction?
I think letting your representatives know how concerned you are is the way to go.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Moving on, and it's not to
Sorry.
belittle that. No, you feel passionate about that, and I appreciate that very much. I really do. Yard of the season, so this is something that Atisha got us started on a while back. And yard of the month, we would go through 90 houses like really fast. So instead we did yard of the season. Our latest is Nancy. Atisha, do you want to say something about what you learned about Nancy?
Yeah, so I had the pleasure of visiting Miss Nancy's house. Lovely home, inside and out, and then 2 sweet little dogs. So Miss Nancy moved into her house on Sheridan Drive in 1994, but her parents lived there before she lived there. But before that, her grandmother actually lived on Bellcross Drive across Patrick's house near Roberta and Allen. And she moved into the area in the 1960s, so her roots in the neighborhood go back pretty far. I asked her what her favorite part of her yard was. I asked her what her favorite part of her yard was, and she laughed and she said, well, when the flowers grow. But she's done a great job making improvements year after year, and keeps her property looking great, so you can tell she's a very proud homeowner, which I respect the hell out of. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that in church, but and I think she's even thinking about doing some more projects this year and getting some sod put in her side yard. So thank you for keeping me
So Nancy gets to keep the sign in her yard as long as she cares to, and then this fall we'll let you choose somebody else who gets the next one. I'm gonna skip our show and tell real quick. Some of our upcoming events in late September, we're gonna have a street cleanup. This is a great way to come out, meet your neighbors, and we just walk the streets of our neighborhood, plus Central, our side of Central between Eastway and Norland. and we do the bus stops, that's a big deal. And kind of by the Truist Bank there as well. October 24th, we're gonna have a block party. It works really well to have it in the street between my house and Vincent Chantel's house. I've got all the tables and chairs, but that's always a big time. October 28th, we're hoping to have another trivia night at Town Brewing. We'll get in touch with you on that one, Brandon. Sound good?
Excited about that, yes ma'am.
We're coming back for that Halloween trivia.
Every time our neighborhood has participated in this thing, we have won.
A lot of brainiacs.
There's a lot of brainiacs, and it's always an intergenerational group, which is fun too. I think, Austin, you've been in the neighborhood just a couple of weeks when we dragged you to. Don't have a date yet. Yep, we're gonna get to that. And then, our progressive holiday party, this is legendary. It's always the first Saturday in December, so December 5th, and what we do is we have 3 houses, and we start kind of early. And, we have several people contributing food to each house, so you don't have to do all the food if you're hosting. And there are various beverages, adult and otherwise. And there's always somebody hosting the last one, and kind of goes till all hours. But if anyone is interested in hosting a stop this year, how many people have hosted a stop on this over the years? Yeah, it's a grand old time. It's a grand old time. So stay tuned for that. Another opportunity that's coming up. Do any of you take the bus around the city to get to work or anything? I know Chris does, especially since his vehicle got stolen.
Vince has.
I have.
You have taken the
Yeah.
bus. Yeah, I've taken
Quite-
the bus a couple
Quite
of
the
times.
endeavor.
Where did you go? Where'd you go?
Just down central.
Just
I
an
was.
experiment?
We were in Colombia, South America, and their public transportation was amazing. So I was riding that high. I'm like, it's got to be great. I was like, it's probably my first and last time.
It is not user friendly. It really isn't. I mean, I've taken buses all over the country, and this one. Anyway, they have an adopt a bus stop program, and you can get free bus passes. Talk to me if you're interested in that. The last item on our agenda. Fun fact: we have a neighbor who works for Coca-Cola, and one of his jobs is talking about rain barrels. Take it away, Ray.
Okay. So, I know most of you, but there's a couple of people that I don't know. But I'm Ray Fuentes. I live at 4100 Sheridan Drive, which is just on around the corner of Lane. But I've worked with Coca-Cola for 31 years, and I started out in the quality side of the business and eventually moved over into the environmental side, and have done a lot of work sustainability-wise. And so, this is Brandy. She works with me at corporate, so I work from the manufacturing side, she works in corporate needs.
Hello, my name is Brandy. I don't live too far from here, although I don't live in your neighborhood, so thank you for welcoming me into your neighborhood meeting. Ray asked me to be here and help talk about rain barrels. We do a lot of rain barrel events where we'll donate these around the city. So yeah, I'm just here to support.
So, what Coca-Cola does is these drums is what we receive some of the concentrates in. So this is a liquid part 1A or part B, whatever. And so once they're empty, we have to get rid of them. So as you can see, it's very clean, high density polyethylene. And so what we do is, Brandon, you just alluded to, is we donate them. We used to sell these and we get $10 a drum back as a company. And about 8 years ago, we made the decision that we were just going to donate all of them for different causes. Sometimes we donate them to the Charlotte Bush Speedway, where they'll cut out the tops and use them as recycling containers. We'll give them to organizations. We've got groups in South Carolina, across our territory. And so we've always got a way to measure what we do with them. So this all started out in 2000, actually with the Coca-Cola company. So back then, Coca-Cola was, had a lot of questions about, well, how do you measure water? And it was important because, when you think of Coca-Cola, we use a lot of water in our product. And so they said, well, we're gonna, reduce all the water we use, billions of gallons, back to nature. And and we're gonna do it multiple ways. One of them was through rainwater harvesting. Another one was through retrofitting and, eliminating invasive plants from creeks, rivers, and things like that. And then others was just to repair streams. And so I worked on really cool projects. I went to the High Sierra Nevada and we planted seedlings up the mountain because the mountain that we were on was the source water for a plant in San Leandro, California. And so we were trying to make that a spot. And so just did, projects like that, and it was really cool. But, historically, the southeast has gotten abundant water. But you'll end up in times like today where we're not getting enough water or enough rain, and so this really comes in handy. So what I've got to show you is, typically what we do is we buy these kits. And then when we donate the drums, we also donate the kit. And the kits are typically, $40 when we buy them. And in the kit, you've got instructions on how to put it together, here on the back side. But you have all the parts and tools you need, except for a drum. So, yeah, we couldn't do that.
It does at least come with the drill bits, so
Yeah.
as long as you have a drill, you'll have the right tools for it.
So I told Gretchen, I said, well, we're gonna make the barrel, and then at the end of the night, at the end of the meeting, somebody goes home if you want it. So, and then, after, if you like what you see, like I said, we donate all the drums, we don't keep them. And we would be glad to donate them to Medford Acres, whomever wants one, including the kids.
I've got one at my house, so you can come see it in action. It's the best grain barrel I have. I have 3 different ones, and it's the most reliable.
Yep.
And we put the pieces in ourselves, it was easy. He's gonna do it right here in front of us.
Is top completely open, or does the
No.
gutter go straight into it?
No, this one is a different, I'll demonstrate in a second, but, what happened is, let me get these out. So you have 3 different hole saws. You have a spigot, you have the gutter piece, and then you have the overflow valve here, the hole ring. But what you end up doing is once you put this together and you have your rain barrel set up, you would have to drill into your downspout. Now, I have seen them put into like little sheds where you can put a gutter on them and use them in that manner, so you have to drill a hole in this. But this little piece slides in here. So once it's inside, when it rains, the water goes through that hole through here in this pipe, and it feeds the tank. In the wintertime, you take and you flip it over, you're supposed to be able to flip it over, and it allows the water to go straight down. So that's what you do. So, I'm gonna drill the little pieces together. Brandy? Say something, I guess.
Right.
Could you-
Is the goal of flipping it over in the winter time so that things don't freeze during that time? Is that okay?
On the back of this worksheet, there's a section on how to winterize your rain barrel. It does freeze and thaw down here, so it's helpful to kind of just clean it out also once a year to, do some bleach and water to rinse any bacteria. There's some tips on here too. It helps, so one of the things people don't think about, they'll set up their rain barrel and then just put it straight on the ground. But then you don't have the gravity flow, so you let the water flow out with, just go so, I guess. But it also helps if you put don't use a piano bench, but get a nice cinder blocks or something like that.
You build a stand.
Build a stand, so that way whenever you put your bucket for your plants or if you're hooking up a hose to it, it allows the gravity to actually flow the water out, so that's a good tip. And then even, you can't see the top too much right now, but there's, the downspout he was talking about, you'll want to put like a panty hose or something so that mosquitoes don't nest in there. And then I'm trying to think of what other pro tips would be also. I know it also just helps, so I ordered, if you're not getting these for free, these can end up being $75 to $100. I ordered one for my brother for his wedding, and he was having issues where the water was coming and getting into his basement. So this even helps just get the water away from your foundation by collecting it somewhere else and then just reusing it. So those are just things that you don't really.
And you can actually paint these. So every year, we participate in the Town of Matthews birthday event. And so what we do is we bring 50 of these out here, and we provide the kids. And the kids will come out, and you'd be surprised, the interest from the families. And, you know, a lot of people are just surprised because they're like, we didn't even know Coca-Cola did this. And so, but, you know, they'll paint flowers. I've seen things like, you know, looks like the old Morton salt, you know, colors. It's so many things. But it would be best if it were painted. You could paint them, or, you know, we used to put wraps on them. Coca-Cola created this wrap that we could put around this thing and to kind of protect the plastic. Because over time they do degrade. And so they become brittle. So, but what you want to do is you want to give yourself, I mean, depending on where you want your spigot, you want to give yourself enough room so that you've got, you know, depending on where you put it, if you put it, say, 3 or 4 inches off the ground, then you're going to want to be able to have enough space where you can put your hose and it's not kinked up or anything. Now,
I was gonna say not too high that you end up with a whole section of water that you can't access. So you want it low enough to use up the water.
and so we always just, there's a seam right here, and so we just follow that down and put a drill hole right in here. And you want to be careful because once this begins to catch on the plastic, it tends to want to jerk your hand. So just kind of get it up. Come with this. And see what you can use.
So while we're working on that, he's gonna give this one away. If you are interested in, entering a drawing for this one that he's putting together, tear off a little piece of, he's gonna give me a number between 1 and 10. And, Vince is gonna gather it in his hat. He's gonna gather all your little pieces of paper. And the one who gets closest to it gets it. I know Vince wants to read it.
Yeah.
Oh, what else?
$40.
But if you want to see one in action, stop by my house at 4140 Sheridan. I've had no problems with it. And I've never cleaned it out and I've never winterized it.
Delivery's included?
Pardon?
Delivery's included?
Delivery?
You can throw it in the fence into your back.
Just
barrel roll it.
I have a hard time.
So are we talking about this one?
Oh, I guess.
Or
I'm kidding, but yeah.
Yeah. Typically what we do.
Oh, you gotta put your name on your little number.
When people ask.
Are we guessing a number or are we putting your name?
Oh, okay, put your name in there.
Okay.
That way I'll just run.
Anyone else?
I put that number.
I
put name as number. Oh, okay.
Do you wanna put number?
I'll build it.
So if you want one, and
Anyone else?
what we'll do is we can either, I can either bring them home, or you can come by and pick them up at the plant.
Don't give your dog
What are the odds?
water.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna do. You gotta remember it rolls years, so like, don't drink it, probably don't wash your car with it, just water your plants.
Actually, I think washing your car, that's what I recommend, is like washing your car, cause you don't really need like.
But does the grit from your
Oh, it
shingles?
settles down.
It
Yeah,
settles
settle
down.
down, cause there is bacteria that's gonna grow in this over time, so you don't want your dog to drink it, you can wash your dog with it, but you don't wanna, drink it, and so there is a non-potable, which is like non-drinkable water that you might wanna put on there just for, I don't know, in case anyone needs the reminder.
Don't drink from it.
Just to not drink from it, but yeah, watering your plants is great, yeah, washing your car, just the things that you don't need like super clean water for.
And so this here is for the overflow so the collection. So whatever comes off your downspout, it'll go through that pipe into this portion here. And you want to put this kind of high. Challenge is such a problem.
And if you do, you could always, there is a cap that will come on these, because some people just will have the spout just go straight into the hole, that's an option, but that's the one where I said you need to put like a mesh net or something that mosquitoes wouldn't get in
I
there.
just have mine going in here and I left both my caps on.
Okay, really, do you notice any?
And I've not had any problem. I think the overflow just, it just realizes it's full and it just goes down the gutter.
Throw it down.
Does the kit come with a whole bit?
Mine's pretty much,
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It comes
mine's
with
pretty much
all
a
the-
closed system, so mosquitoes can't get. I have had problems with, on the top, because there's kind of a little depression, and water does collect.
So these have actually.
Yeah, there you
About
go.
the same, man. That's $100 whole
These
shit.
have the tops out of the ground, and you have to put the netting on. But basically, they have the way this piece works, where you flip it and you put it upside down, it really helps, protect it. But this just goes in here, and then once you connect this to the gutter, then you can just make all the connections. And, you know, we're always asked, well, where can we put this? Well, you can put it, you know, in your front yard. You know, most people put them in their backyards, or behind bushes where it's not visible. Some neighborhood associations don't allow them, but, I don't think it's gonna be a problem for us. And then in your kit, you have a pair of screws. So, you screw those in. Now, I noticed that Keisha had the little chain. So, you know, I don't know if that uses a lot of water. If that does, you could technically just drop it down here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys have rain chains, your rain chain can go directly into the barrel too.
This is how things should be. Your house is here, your hose connected here, and it just flows in here.
So we're gonna have Miss Nancy choose the winner.
I got a maid in here.
You can read out who's the winner.
Drum roll.
Who is it?
Oh, they
My
should.
Alicia.
All right. So, Ray, if anybody else wants, a rain barrel, how can they reach you?
If you want to be the point of contact, and just say, hey, Ray, I've had 5 requests, and you just let me know.
I would prefer that they just contact you directly, if that's it.
Well, I mean, they can email me message me on, Facebook.
Yeah.
So if we get one, we have to come to the plant to pick it up though?
No, I'll bring them. I
Okay.
can bring them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you, Ray, this is